In my continuing series of presenting ideas on how to create backgrounds for your rock painting, I'm going to show you how to do one for a vignette background using a sea sponge. Now, on the offset chance that you don't have a sea sponge, what you can do is get one from your local grocery store in the form of a cellulose sponge. You know, the kind that you have in the kitchen. It won't be exactly like a sea sponge, but you'll get pretty much the same results. For this vignette background, I went for an earth tone palette. My other example of a vignette background, I went with cool tones. In that demonstration, I showed you how to use a makeup sponge. You can use whatever colors you want. The process is the same. Now, depending upon what effect you're trying for with your background will dictate what kind of sponge you're going to be using. For example, when you use a makeup sponge, the transitions between the gradients are a lot smoother. Whereas with a cellulose sponge or a sea sponge, it's more painterly, not so perfect looking, and more organic. Since the area that we're working with in creating a vignette background is relatively small, what you want to do is you want to grab a little bit of paint onto your sponge, regardless of whatever sponge you're using, and gently tap around the edge of the rock. Don't worry about it making it perfect this first go around. What you're trying to do is just layer the first layer. As you progress, the layer of the paint will become more opaque, and you can work out how dark and light you want. After you've layered the first layer, how many times can I say layer, around the edge of your stone with your first color, grab a next color and do the same thing. And again, don't try to make it perfect. As with most things in acrylic painting, the better approach is to layer, layer, and more layers. If you enjoyed this video so far, which I hope you have, please consider subscribing for more rock painting videos. Thanks. As you can see, I'm using only two colors so far. I'm using the burnt sienna and then the yellow ochre. I'm dabbing the yellow ochre to cover mostly the face of the stone. You can dab in a little bit of the yellow ochre into the burnt sienna to give it more coverage and a little bit more blending. Now, for all intents and purposes, this first layer of the burnt sienna and the yellow ochre is complete. With this first layer of paint, you could call it done and let it dry and then start your rock painting. However, as I said before, one of the magic elements of acrylic painting is layer upon layer upon layer. With that in mind, apply a second layer of the burnt sienna or whichever color you want to use. The darker color, work that around the outer edge of the stone. working it into and out of the yellow ochre or the lighter color. And then when you can switch over to the yellow ochre or the lighter color, go into the burnt sienna. So it's back and forth. It's a lot easier than I'm explaining it. Please hit the like button if you liked the video. It'll help my channel a lot. Thanks. What you want to do is you want to blend it to your liking. If it's too dark in one area or too light in one area, adjust it accordingly. Although I like to work with smaller pieces of sponge, the only problem is it tends to be a little messy. But that's okay. The whole process doesn't take very long. You'll be done before you know it. And you'll have a background that you can use to paint with. Well worth all the effort. Since I don't like to waste paint, what I'll do is I'll apply a little bit of the color onto my palette, and if I need to, I'll replenish it as necessary. Acrylics go a long way. You don't need to squeeze out a lot of paint, because if you need more, you just add it to your palette. Sometimes when I'm in the zone of painting, I can forget that I'm out of shot and you're not seeing what I'm doing. Sorry about that. Every so often, give your background a little bit of a rest. Check to see if it's going the way you want it to go. And if you want to add like more shadow color or more bright color, go for it. One of the joys of doing backgrounds for my stones is that even though I have an idea of what I'm going to use it for, by the time it's dried and set aside and I go back to it, I may have another idea that I want to use. Celebrate each other, celebrate your inner creative voice, and remember to paint along the way.